there. What does the government say about it not being compulsory, not to have that conversation between the family and the doctors?
Well, we spoke to the Department of Health today, and it pointed out quite rightly that there have been guidelines in place for a number of years to say that in most cases that discussion should take place.
Yeah.
So you should talk to the person that you're considering putting a do not attempt resuscitation order on, and or their family if they're not in a fit mental state to take that message on board. And if you don't, and there are reasons why you might not want to in someone who's very, very ill, you should record the reason why you haven't done that in the notes. But most of these problems originate from a communication problem. It's just not sitting down and talking to people properly.
But how can the family then find out, if they don't already know, if there is a DNAR decision on, the patient that's ill?
What you need to remember, this is something about the patient, and if they're in a fit mental state, the family don't have a right to know anything. It's between the doctor and the patient. There's patient confidentiality. But realistically, you can either ask the relative themselves if the doctors have discussed it, or you can approach the sister on the ward or the doctor, and they'll sit down and have a chat with you about it. But they might need your relative's permission to talk to you about it because it's confidential.
I mean, you would think when you go into hospital that's to be resuscitated.
Listen, the default situation is that everybody is resuscitated. It should be an independent assessment of each individual case is made to decide whether that's not going to apply. So when you go into hospital, you will be resuscitated. That's the norm, unless somebody decides that the problems may outweigh the benefits.
And if the family don't agree, then is there anything they can do to change the doctor's mind?
Well, as you heard in the film there's no legal right to force a doctor to do something that they don't think is right, but you can lobby them and say, look, I think you've misread this situation, and or you can ask for a second opinion, as mentioned in the film there. So if you're not happy with it, you must express the fact that you're not happy.
Well, what are your thoughts on this, Richard? Because it's very...
Well, I think I got it in my will. There's a bit in your will, isn't there? You can
have an advance notice, yes.
Yeah, I put an advance notice in my will.
Right.
Not to be read.
Not to be. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, that's the thing we find a lot of. A lot of people do that.
Yeah. And I mean, there isn't like a group of society that is tagged with this.
No. It's not an age thing. It's not a certain illness thing. You've got cancer, therefore you're over 75. Therefore, none of that. It's all nonsense. It's all done, or should be done, on a case-by-case basis, and that's why you can't legislate for it. It has to be done by the doctors assessing each person.
All right, then, Mark. Thanks ever so much indeed. Now we are.